DJ Dave Clarke je jedním z nejdůležitějších techno a elektro DJů na světě. Vyrůstal v Brightonu a poté, co v 16 letech utekl z domova, začal se trošku více věnovat rovným beatům, ačkoliv začínal na hiphopu a punku. Dneska, pokud si ho chcete zabukovat na vlastní party, musíte půl roku dopředu. V loni to v Pardubicích nevyšlo, ale teď v Benešově ano. A Dave Clarke sedí tady vedle mě. Hello Dave, welcome back to the Czech Republic.
Thank you.
You started a new label recently, claiming that there is so much new music around which you need to release. So does that mean that you feel that something new is coming in music or in techno?
I don't know if there's something new coming, as I think you're referring to maybe a new genre or something like that, but what I would say is there's a lot of music out there that deserves to be heard and isn't given the chance that it should be, and having a radio show and also working around the world, I get sent a lot of material, and I feel that I should at least do something with it, apart from play it on radio, apart from play it in clubs.
So did you notice any new producers and new really fresh materials?
I mean, the first producer, Frank Usero, he's not what I would call a new producer, but he's also not very well known as well. But his release is very, very fresh, I think.
Yeah.
And Woody McBride, I've known him for a very, very long time for music, and I still think what he does is very fresh too. I think the next batch of releases for White Noise will probably be less well-known people, even though these people aren't particularly well-known in their own way sometimes. But there's a lot of material that needs to be released.
The Czech Republic, you may know this, used to be a really strong fortress of techno before the trance domination came. So what did you say to people who are into trance to attract them to techno sound? What's different? What's more?
I would say you're wrong. Badly so. And no. I mean, trance doesn't really do anything for me at all. It's boring, predictable, not interesting, and very, very commercial. And what I like with techno is that it's sort of like digital punk in a way. It's very grainy, very dirty, but very interesting and also very challenging.
In recent issue or recent year of DJMK Top 100, trance also dominated. You ended on 132nd place, which seems like sorry to remind you, but it seems like this disappointment. But is it disappointing for you?
That magazine, it's great that it's still around, but it's not really that important. The amount of people that buy that magazine, I think it's gone monthly now. It's not even every 2 weeks. The amount of people that buy that magazine is so small.
And people through internet voted, so it's really a lot of people.
But a lot of people from America voted.
Yeah.
And a lot of young kids voted. The demographic of people that vote for that is not aimed towards jungle, it's not aimed towards hip hop, it's not aimed towards soul, it's not aimed towards techno. It is just aimed towards trance. And in a way, it's kind of like having people that are into Formula 3 voting and completely missing Formula 1 and rally cars. It's not really very important. I would have said like 5 years ago it was more encompassing of general scenes, but now it's a lot of very, very young kids voting for trance, and it doesn't represent the music scene as a whole.
Techno evolved a lot too, currently into the minimal sound. Is this minimal sound something which suits you?
No.
Why? Because it sounds more intelligent than a lot of waves of techno.
I don't really call it minimal. I mean, there's always going to be certain tracks in some genres that you don't like, that you will actually like some of the tracks even if you don't like the genre. There's always going to be some very, very amazingly good tracks that will attract you to it even if it's of that genre. But the genre itself bores me. I think it's a rehash of a musical genre that already exists, which is called progressive, and I never understood why it was called progressive. It's something that really doesn't interest me at all.
So what kind of techno is the main thing for you?
Well, you'll hear it tonight. The best way to find out what kind of techno I'm into, and if you don't come to a club, is to listen to my radio show and then you'll find out. I still like electro. I think there's some very good electro out at the moment. You know, there's a lot of good music. I mean, there's always going to be new subgenres, but I think the subgenres are more to serve the press now than anything else, to create some sort of hype.
All right. Are you working on a new album?
An artist album?
Yeah.
No.
Why? It's been 4 years since the last one.
Yeah, well, I like to leave it 7 years between each album, though. I just haven't felt the time has been right. I've been incredibly busy with my radio show, incredibly busy with touring, and a few things in my life have changed, and it will come when it comes. And, you know, also the whole music scene for releasing albums has changed dramatically as well, even in 4 years, let alone 7, let alone 10 years. And if I release new music in the future, I'm not sure how I'm going to release it, whether I release it for free, whether I put it on MySpace, whether I, you know, just have free downloads. I don't know, to be honest.
You know, the digital also really changed the scene. Do you buy tracks on Beatport?
Beatport, I find, generally is about 3 to 6 months behind the tracks that I get sent from the artists.
All right.
If I'm going to look anywhere, I normally look towards Juno in the UK. I think digital is interesting. It's changed a lot of things, and it's changing all the time now. Whereas when you were playing with vinyl, a few things would change. Maybe a new mixer would come along, or something very small would change. But with digital, things are changing. Technology is becoming quite exciting now.
So what about the morale? You mention a lot in your interviews. So what kind of morale do you miss these days?
Do I miss?
Yeah, or what kind of morale did you mean?
I think a lot of people are just joining the scene now just for money, and they.
You mean producers or promoters?
I think producers and I think DJs. A lot of them just seem to be specifically about money, and there's a lot of great producers out there and DJs that I respect that keep true to what they believe in, but I think some people are just so worried about the lack of money or whatever that they change ship and all of a sudden think, oh, I'll go and play this new genre and because I can make more money at it, without thinking, well, what do you really believe in? And one of the things that I always try and teach whenever I do like a class, talking to young producers, young DJs, is to follow what you believe in. And sometimes what you believe in might not be fashionable, it might not be in vogue, but at least you can look at yourself in the mirror and you go, yeah, I'm being true to who I am. And I think there's a lot of people out there that aren't true to who they are, and they're chameleons, and they change just to suit economic circumstance. In
2001, in one interview, you said that when people are taking pills on a party, that it means that the DJ doesn't play good music. Do you still believe in it?
I think people are lazy when they take pills, and they think they should take pills just to get a thrill. And what I suggest to them is that they should stop taking the pills and actually just listen to the music. And if they don't like the music, then bugger off, go to another party where they do like the music. Because I think a lot of people feel that they need to take drugs and without realizing what's happening in their lives and trying to escape from something without realizing what they're trying to escape from. I'm anti-drug, I know that's quite strange, especially pills. And I think that it's a real tragedy when people take pills constantly. If you want to experiment and maybe take 1 or 2 in your lifetime, okay. But if you take them every single weekend, I think it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah. The last question about the radio show, you mentioned, where is it possible to hear it? Here in Middle Europe? Is it on internet?
Terrestrially, you can hear it across the whole of Holland, whole of Belgium, in Istanbul, and across the whole of Ireland. And of course on the internet, if you just go to daveclarke.com and then there's a little white noise button on the left, just push that. Every single show that I've done you can listen to. Unfortunately, it's not a podcast right now because it's technically quite difficult with the legalities in certain countries, but you can still record it and put it in your iPod if you know how to do that.
Okay. Thank you for the interview. I wish you luck to the set because
thank you.
Because the atmosphere is great there.